act on a habit, there's a trigger, something triggers the positive habit or the negative habit, then the habit itself occurs, and then there's some sort of reward for that. Maybe you feel stressed, that's a trigger, then you take a cigarette, which is the habit, and then you feel relaxed, that's the reward. And then this occurs over time and you build the habit more and more. This is the basic pattern, and actually we can derive very practical action steps from each of those if we want to change habits or build any habit.
All right, welcome everyone. Luke Horton here, and today we've got Marco Sander, and we're going to talk about how to change your habits. Marco is a psychologist who specializes in helping people to improve their habits, to become more motivated so they can achieve whatever they want in life. And today we're going to ask him some questions, and so let's just get straight into it. And so the first thing I want to talk to you about, Marco, is why do habits matter? Like, why should anyone really care about changing their habits?
Yeah, so hello, first of all, thank you for having me here. And I think it's quite straightforward why habits matter. And I think it's interesting that people have this bias. They tend to overestimate what they can do within a day, but people highly underestimate what they can get done, for example, within a year. If they, for example, let's say read a book every day for 20 minutes. Or meditate every day for 20 minutes. Within the first couple of days, it's not really making any difference, but in the long run, it's huge. Like, imagine yourself not eating burger every day, but exercising for half an hour every single day. This, on the long run, really gives you great results. And I'm not talking only about productivity here. It's about anything, relaxation. It can be even mindfulness meditation or loving meditation, where you really feel more loved, or connect more to nature, going into nature every day or once a week. Those are great things regarding to anything in life. I think it gives you great results if you do things step by step continuously.
That's cool. So let's say that a person, well, let's just ask it this way. How are habits formed? Is there a process that we can use for that?
Yeah, we talked previously about this habit cycle, right? So by definition, basically you have two types of behavior, first of all. The one is goal-oriented, which is not a habit at all. It's like, hey, okay, today I would like to meet with Luke, and then we're Skyping. This is really not a habit, it's something goal-oriented. And a habit is a little bit more subconscious. And though a habit is, yes, executed frequently, but also a habit is always triggered by something, right? So maybe, going on YouTube and hanging there for 2 hours is triggered by you being alone and bored, right? There's always some sort of trigger, which then leads to the habit. So in fact, we can actually see that a habit has 3 basically points, or it's like a habit circle, which is always happening if you act on a habit. There's a trigger, something triggers the positive habit or the negative habit, then the habit itself occurs, and then there's some sort of reward for that. Maybe you feel stressed, that's a trigger, then you take a cigarette, which is the habit, and then you feel relaxed, that's the reward. And then this occurs over time and you build the habit more and more. This is the basic pattern, and actually we can derive very practical action steps from each of those if we want to change habits or build any habit.
So basically there's a trigger, and then there's the actual habit, and then there's a reward as the last step, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we can even make an example, or even say, how could we use those things? Let's say you would like to build, since it's your headfulness channel, you also talk about meditation and relaxation. If you want to build a meditation habit, you always want to install a trigger. And here we could, for example, use the strategy of piggybacking, which is always saying if you build a habit, you add it to an already established one. So strategy might be not saying, I meditate every day at some point, because then you delay it throughout the day. Yeah, I do it in the evening, and then you say, I do it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. You say, okay, after waking up, I meditate. Or after coming home from work, I meditate. So you build this trigger in there because a habit is always triggered and remembered by that. This is a strategy for the trigger. Another strategy now would be the other way around. If you say, okay, I'm eating unhealthily, I would like to stop that. And I become aware of the fact that, for example, especially in the evening, I sit on the couch and then I watch television. And this is always my trigger to then start snacking, right? Again, there is a trigger. And the first step here is to really become aware of that, because the opposite of a habit is awareness, right? So you become aware of that. And then actually, I would like to introduce the 5-minute rule. So you're sitting on the couch, you realize the trigger is coming in there, and you really realize that. And then you're telling yourself, okay, I won. I'm going for the Snickers. I'm eating all the stuff that I have in the fridge. It's fine. In 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, I'm going to do that, right? And then your mind, first of all, is confused because it's like, hey, I thought there's some sort of friction. Okay, there's not. Okay, so then I can lower the resistance. It's fine. In 5 minutes, I can get it. And then in 5 minutes, you can actually eat the stuff you want, really. But ask yourself a second time, hey, do I still want to do this? I could, but do I still want to do this? And actually, by now, the resistance lowered so much that you can easily say, okay, no, actually, I don't want to go for that. Those are 2 tricks you can use based on the trigger insight, that there's always a trigger. So add it to something established. And if it's a negative habit, become very much aware of that and maybe use the 5-minute rule.
Very powerful. I love that 5-minute rule, because there's times where like I've resisted doing some bad habit, and then like an hour later I realize like, oh, I haven't even thought about that I haven't thought about that for 30 minutes. So like, I really love that 5-minute rule. Yeah,
that's a law of impermanence. People always think, oh, now it will stay that difficult, but no, it's always phases, and those phases come and they go, right? And they sometimes come quicker than they leave as quick as we don't even know how quick they can leave. And the funny thing is, the moment when you decide, no, I'm not going to do this, this is actually the peak. And then your body realizes, okay, the resistance doesn't help me anymore, and it goes already down.
It's really interesting. I've definitely noticed that. So, so we talked about the piggybacking idea of we can use, if you want to start a new habit, you can just add it to an existing habit. If I wanted to use it the other way around, is it possible to use a reward to help install a good habit?
With the other way around, you mean that you just use the reward point to actually
using the reward, making myself want to do the good habit so that I can get some reward on the end.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, all those 3 points, we can talk about all of them: trigger, habit, and reward, are all points you can intervene to help building you a habit. And in fact, you can use all of them simultaneously. That's the fun thing. The reward, well, people are basically motivated by either reward or punishment. So basically, it's both of those. By building, let's say, a meditation habit, it would be lovely to be motivated by reward, right? So you can get some accountability, meditate with people together, or tell them what you're actually going to do. This gives you some accountability, and actually by doing this and telling people, yeah, I did this now for 2 weeks, gives you some reward, but also some potential punishment, actually, in fact, because saying, yeah, I do this, and then 2 weeks later you say, oh no, I'm not doing this anymore, gives you some potential punishment. You could also reward really yourself and say, okay, I'm meditating now for 30 days, every day I'm giving this a try. And actually, if I'm able to do this, then I give myself a nice gift. Or stopping stopping smoking habit. This is always a lovely idea. Let's say you smoke a package a day or so. I'm not sure how much they cost in your country. Let's say $5.
Yeah, something like that.
You save $5 every day, right? So you have a jar, and every day you put $5 in there. And then after 30 days, you can get them and actually buy something really nice that you want to. Though, if you screw that, and after like 20 days you smoke again, all the money that you made, you have to give away to some sort of organization that you actually don't even like. Or maybe it's an organization you like anyway, but you're not getting the money, right? So there's some sort of potential reward in there, but also punishment.
Right?
So you can play with this around. So this is a nice additional thing you can do to any other strategies.
So you can set up your reward in a way to where it also has a punishment aspect, and that kind of amplifies the urge to stick with your habit.
And the punishment can be sort of a punishment, but still nice. Maybe it's say, hey, okay, then I'm cleaning the bathroom, which is a punishment, but it's also nice because then you have a clean bathroom, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought about with a meditation habit. Like once you get on a good roll of, 20 days in a row meditating, like the meditation is a reward in itself. You kind of like, I've definitely found this with exercising. I do steady state cardio. So I go run. I use a heart rate monitor and keep my heart rate in a certain window. And I've just found that I feel so much better when I do that workout, that it's a reward in itself. Like I don't.
Yeah. And some days it's then probably still work where you need to put this little effort. Okay, I'm starting. And then when you're getting rolling, you're like, yeah, nice that I'm doing it today, because it's such a reward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today I guess I used the piggybacking. I just did it first thing. Upon waking up, I just put my workout clothes right by the bed. Woke up, instantly put them on, went straight for a run, and then I didn't have any time to think about like, oh, I don't want to run today. Or
that's perfect. That's actually interesting because you introduced already another strategy here called preparatory habits, that you just prepare things, right? So if you say you want to go for a run in the morning and people struggle with that, in the evening, prepare already everything, put your clothes there. Then in the morning, you just wake up and it's already there. If you want to meditate, put already your meditation seat in the middle of your room. Even if it's such a little thing, it's much, much more likely. Studies have shown that people are actually then going for that.
That's really cool. Yeah. So another thing that I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to establish a habit of going to bed by 10 p.m. every night so that I can wake up at 6 a.m. the next morning. Do you have any ideas on how I could ingrain this habit of going to bed, actually going to sleep at 10 p.m.?
Yeah. What's your goal here? Going to bed at 10 o'clock or waking up at 6 o'clock?
The primary goal is waking up at 6.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, I also had this thing for me at 7 o'clock, which is also though still early for me. And then I was also like, okay, sometimes I'm not going to bed, or I'm still awake, and then I only go to bed at like 12 o'clock. What I personally realized, this is just my advice here, just by waking up at 7 o'clock for a couple of days in a row, I just naturally get tired in the evening. Though what some people then do is they are super alert and super awake in the evening, and they're like, okay, now it's 10 o'clock, now I need to sleep. And then they're lying in bed and they can't sleep. So what I always advise here is to condition themselves to actually sleep. Conditioning means, let's make an example, you walk through the city and you smell a certain perfume or whatever. And then you think, oh, wait, I know somebody who actually has this sort of perfume. So just by smelling this, you get remembered by something. This is conditioning. You connect two things. And in the evening, I think it's always very advisable to condition yourself to go to bed. So maybe you have an evening routine. Let's say it's reading a book, or also cleaning your room a little bit, right? Tidy it up, turn the lights already off a little bit, make a tea. And this already shows your body, oh, I'm going to bed soon, and your body's already calming down slowly, right? And you condition yourself by that. And really your body already then stops releasing some hormones, and he releases some more hormones, which are more important for sleeping. And then it's much more easier to actually then float into bed and go to bed at about 10 o'clock. And then you will be anyway late by doing this for a couple of days in a row and waking up so early. And I guess it still requires some effort. But then the question is, why are you doing this, and answer the why question. And yeah,
I think that's helpful. So probably just one last question. If anyone watching this wants to start changing their habits, what are some first steps that you would recommend?
Think about, like, get a tea, sit down and literally make a plan, make a strategy, and think, what do you want to change? Why? If you have a negative habit in your life, such as smoking or whatever, ask yourself, why do I have this negative habit? Does it help me somehow? And how could I substitute this habit in a positive way that I still get the effects in? Maybe it's dealing with stress, and now I just build a positive habit. So be strategical about it. Not just merely use willpower and push it away. you need this anyway, willpower, right? All those strategies that I'm introducing here just help you, but still usually there is some willpower that you also need to introduce. But be strategical about that. Don't expect yourself to be perfect and stop it today and never do it again. You will backlash once in a while, and that's okay. Everybody does this, really. All the people. I know somebody who's like in Germany here, he's like the big guy for being vegan. And he said it took him 6 months to get vegan, and he backlashed like 30 times. And he's the one, it's all the people also, out there that probably struggle with things, and it takes some time. And when you backlash, that's great. You can learn from that. Sit again down, make a plan, and think what happened there. And maybe also what you even said, in the podcast we shot on my channel, we talked about thinking patterns. Often they are involved here too. Think about what did you thought right before you lost it again and backlashed, and work on that. Be strategical, be patient, don't be too hard on yourself. That's what I can say. And if you really don't get stuff done, I'm also a habit coach. We can even have a free first call. That's all good. I'm really just here for helping people. But be strategical. That's my number one advice.
Yeah, that's great. Is there anything else that you'd want to share about habits, or anything else that you think would be helpful?
I think this is really, I think I gave you the most important advice. I gave you a couple of tips, and actually that's already too much information.
Yeah.
Focus on one tip, on two. Be strategical, introduce 1 or 2 tips, add some. Don't be too motivated at the beginning. I see a lot when I coach people that they're like, oh no, I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Now I'm doing it every day. It's like, dude, take it easy, because people are highly motivated in the beginning, but a habit, motivation gets you going, but a habit keeps you going. And start rather slow, baby step it, and then go faster, and be realistic about that.
That's great. Motivation gets you going. A habit keeps you going.
Yeah, that's why habit coaching is so powerful.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on and doing this interview.
Thank you for having me.
Anyone watching, Marco is the creator of the Straight Mind YouTube channel, where he talks about these types of topics and kind of other psychology topics. Is there anywhere else that people can go to learn more about you?
It's my website, straight-mind.com. You can probably find it also in the description below, and my YouTube channel, Straight Mind. Those are my 2 number 1 sources.
So we'll put the links down below. Go subscribe to Marco's channel. He puts out great videos. Thanks for coming on, Marco, and I hope you have a good day.
Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed this interview that I did with Marco. I actually just did an interview with him on his channel, Straight Mind, where he asked me questions about the causes of stress and for practical advice and techniques people can use to lower their stress levels. So if you want to watch that interview, I'll put the link down below. That's on his YouTube channel, Straight Mind. Other than that, leave me a comment down below if you want to see more interviews like this. And then let's all try to have a little more headfulness.